Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Verna Bharath. This is TTT News. It's time for the headlines. National Security Minister says he's not worried about U.S. warnings against crime and gang activity in Trinidad and Tobago. Winners in Carnival youth competitions to perform again in their own champs in concert. Female executives say culture shift needed for gender equality in the workplace. And in sport, Windies chasing 183 to win and keep T20 series alive. Minister of National Security Stuart Young says he isn't too worried about the U.S. travel advisory for American citizens visiting Trinidad and Tobago. The advisory issued this week warns U.S. travelers about the risk of crime, gang activity and terrorism in Trinidad and Tobago. But Minister Young says as far as crime and gang activity are concerned, everything is under control. He was responding in the House of Representatives to a question from opposition MP Vidya Gayadeen Gopi Singh, who wanted to know whether government was concerned about the advisory.
We are working assiduously along with all of our foreign allies in this area, and we will continue to do the work that we're doing. And as we have seen in some of these international countries, they have suffered, including the United States, unfortunate terrorist attacks over the past few years, and it is something that no country wants to have to face.
As for the threat of terrorism, Minister Young said he was concerned that this remained listed in the advisory.
There are some areas where persons are best advised not to visit. So that is what the U.S., in their assessment of it, have declared, and they've told their citizens that they should not visit these areas.
Carnival Airlines says its investigation has found that the damage to one of its aircraft was caused by the ATR's hydraulic system not being activated. In a statement on Friday, CAL said this was discovered by the aircraft engineer soon after the plane began to taxi from the ramp to the hangar on Wednesday night. As a result, the nose wheel steering and braking system was not available. CAL said this is why the aircraft's fuselage came into contact with the wall of the terminal building. It clarified, however, that the aircraft was not in active service and there were no passengers or crew on board. The aircraft has since been pulled from service. And as outlined by Finance Minister Colm Imbert on Thursday, CAL is working to finalize a prior arrangement to obtain a wet lease to supplement its fleet using a similar aircraft type. Once this arrangement is finalized, it's said the wet lease will operate from April 8th to September 30th. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Colm Imbert has clarified the ATR aircraft incident at the Piarco International Airport was not a crash, but rather it made contact with the wall of the airport's terminal building. Charlene Lewis reports.
Speaking in the House of Representatives Friday, the Finance Minister said there'll be two separate investigations into the ATR incident at Piarco International Airport. He couldn't say, however, how long the investigations will take.
Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority, an independent institution, has commenced an independent investigation into the accident. Carnival Airlines is conducting its own investigation using its internal process. And by way of additional information, Madam Speaker, all of Caribbean Airlines aircraft are fully insured so that the majority of the cost to repair the aircraft, to return it to a serviceable state, will be covered by insurance.
Based on preliminary reports, the minister said the aircraft was experiencing brake problems.
It was not a crash. The aircraft was being taxied by an engineer from the ramp to the hangar, and during that taxiing operation the aircraft collided with the wall of the terminal building. So it was not a crash. There were no passengers on the aircraft. The aircraft was not in service at the time.
In a newspaper report on Thursday, Mr. Imbert said it was expected the aircraft would be out of service for 3 months and the damage was estimated to be US $1 million. Charlene Lewis, TTT News.
Migrant workers in Trinidad and Tobago will be afforded protection under the National Workforce Policy on Sexual Harassment. Minister of Labour and Small Enterprise Development, Jennifer Baptiste-Primus, tabled the National Workplace Policy on Sexual Harassment 2019 in the Parliament on Friday. She said sexual harassment can occur at all levels, with any worker or employer being a perpetrator or a victim of sexual harassment, and noted sexual harassment can occur via male to female, female to male, male to male, and female to female. Minister Baptiste-Primus said the policy applies to all employers, prospective employers, and workers, including household assistants, apprentices, and trainees in the public and private sectors, and third parties such as volunteers, patients, clients, and subcontractors.
Workers experience sexual and other types of exploitation, as well as sexual harassment at work. Migrant workers, and in particular female migrant workers, face several vulnerabilities, and I wish to make it lucidly clear that this policy applies to all workers.
The Labour Minister described sexual harassment as any physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature and other conduct affecting the dignity of women and men, which is unwelcomed, unreasonable and offensive to the recipient, and noted it also entails a person's rejection of or submission to conduct of a sexual nature which creates an intimidating, hostile or humiliating working environment for the recipient. She gave statistics from the National Women's Health Survey for Trinidad and Tobago 2017, which suggested that as many as 84% of sexual harassment experiences were unreported.
13% of women experience sexual harassment at work, on the job, in public transport and public spaces, with the highest prevalence of this type of harassment being in the form of electronic messages with sexual content, 8%, and being grouped in a public space, 7%.
Trinidad and Tobago has joined the rest of the world in commemorating International Women's Day. In doing so, the head of the Association of Female Executives of Trinidad and Tobago, AFET, says there must be a culture shift if there is to be gender equality in the workplace. Balance for Better is the theme chosen for this year's commemoration by the International Women's Day Committee. But what does this really mean? Mahalia Joseph Wharton spoke to the AFET president, Yolande Agard-Simmons, who said there's need for a larger representation of women across the board with specific focus on executive-level positions.
The world is changing, and we have some brilliant minds in Trinidad and Tobago, both men and women, and we have to recognize that and celebrate it.
President of the Association of Female Executives of Trinidad and Tobago, Yolande Agard-Simmons, says it is necessary for male counterparts to understand the importance of gender equality.
The challenge with women being promoted is, of course, the men are the ones doing the promotion. So we need to bring our men folk on board. Need to, get them to understand that they may have inherent biases that they may not necessarily be aware of.
According to a report done by AFET and eKindle Business Consultancy Limited entitled Crossing the Precipice, Women's Journey to the C-Suite, questions about the differences in women's and men's leadership styles and effectiveness have gained greater attention.
Now we've transitioned, we've busted through the glass ceiling, we're there. It's now about ensuring that when we're there, we help others up. What is more, when we are there, that we get the support of others. And there are some inherent challenges over the years that have prevented women from getting to those C-suite positions, CFOs and CEOs and chief marketing officers and the like.
AFET's research data from several official reports, including the 2015 Trinidad and Tobago CEDAW report, indicate there was an underrepresentation of women at the senior management and C-suite levels.
Yes, because women leaders are in the minority. You don't need a research paper or research project to tell you that. You can just start naming organizations, multinational, national, even some of the state agencies. You start naming the members on the board of many of these organizations, and the number of women are in the minority.
The CEDAW report also made mention of a need to widen the pay gap between the genders. It states that a man earning $30,000 will see a woman in the same job earning only $16,000. AFET said the statistic highlights the possibility that there may be gender factors affecting women's career progression.
It ought not to be, well, let's make a woman the chairman, or let's give a woman an opportunity to be CEO, but it ought to be, let's give the best, the most experienced and best candidate. Then it happens to be a woman, then by all means, welcome us on board.
The 2019 #Balance for Better campaign runs all year long and doesn't end on International Women's Day, which is celebrated each year on March 8th. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
And remember, you can also keep up to date with the latest stories on Facebook and Twitter at TTT Live Online. More to come. Stay with us.
Dunamis Experience is a weekly presentation of the Montrose New Testament Church of God. It is Central Trinidad's fastest growing Pentecostal church. Here the Lord Jesus Christ is glorified and the congregation edified. Pastor B.A. Hamid has faithfully served this church for more than 4 decades. His weekly messages are powerful and anointed. Why not visit us and experience the difference in our worship services? Our church is committed to building your faith, your family, and your future.
Women, we can do whatever we want. And what I mean by that is, if we want to be contractors, we can be that. But the glass ceiling, I think in this day and age of entrepreneurship, is determined by us. The sky is the limit.
The Windies started well but faded as England took control in the second half of their innings after the Windies won the toss and inserted the tourists in the second T20 over in St Kitts. The Windies gave a T20 debut to Obed McCoy, and the home team made early inroads as the visitors slipped to 32 for 4 at one stage. But 55 from Joe Root gave the innings life, and together with Sam Billings allowed England to post a solid 182 for 6 in their 20 overs. Billings, who top scored with 87, struck 10 fours and 3 sixes as he and Root added an invaluable 82 for the 5th wicket to rescue the innings. Spinner Fabian Allen had 2 for 29 to be the pick of the bowlers. In reply, the Windies were in free fall a short while ago after they lost wickets early and often. Chris Jordan was the chief destroyer, chiming in with 4 wickets as the Windies slipped to 45 all out, handing England victory by 137 runs and clinched the series with an unassailable 2-0 lead. Justin Jagasaw led from the front as Central retained their national under-15 zonal title with a comprehensive 55-run victory over South East in the interzone competition. Ruskin Mark has more.
Central batted first in this one, and Justin Jagasaw was the difference as the big fellow rode his luck to a big half-century. Leading from the front, Jagasaw helped his team to a solid total of 204 for 8 and shared some crucial partnerships along the way. He added 52 with Rajesh Maharaj for the 4th wicket, then a further 49 for the 6th wicket with the diminutive Fariz Ali. He then added 31 for the 8th wicket with Brandon Dionarine as they turned things around after slipping to 26 for 3 in the 12th. Kristen Ramke soon claimed 2 for 33 to be Southeast's best bowler. But there was no stopping Jagasaw as the top youth prospect in this age group put his foot on the gas and smoked his way to a deserved unbeaten 97. Central's 204 proved a bridge too far for the Southeast outfit, despite a stylish 45 from Romario King, who struck 3 boundaries in his knock. But it was all in vain, as Emilio Villafana claimed 2 for 24, Tommy Walsh 2 for 26, and Brandon Dionarine 2 for 34 to help skittle out the opposition for 149 in 48.3 overs. Central securing victory by 55 runs and back-to-back titles in the process. Jagasaw was named man of the match. Ruskin Mark, TTT Sports.
This country's amateur boxers will return to the ring against their Caribbean neighbors on March 14th and 15th in Marabella and Porto, Spain, respectively. Ken Fuentes has more.
The boxers are preparing for Pan American qualifiers in Nicaragua from the 2nd to the 11th of April. Fighters from throughout the Caribbean, as well as from neighbors Venezuela, will test local fighters. Among them, Nigel Paul, who is looking forward to showing the improvements he has made in recent months.
It's important for me basically to come home and showcase my talent at home. I really get the country to rally behind me. Usually when you see Nigel Paul fights or you hear Nigel Paul had a fight, it's usually outside of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's important that the people in Trinidad and Tobago really see what I can do with their own eyes.
Paul feels it will also be a great opportunity for the other local fighters to get good preparation ahead of the Pan Am qualifiers. President of the Amateur Boxing Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Cecil Ford, thanked Smokies and Bunties, along with Solange Garcia's Caribbean Sport Academy, for their investment in the sport.
I want to thank and welcome the management of Smokies and Bunties for giving us the opportunity to come here on the avenue and present amateur boxing. This we know is going to be, the last time we had this is when Brian Lara did his show up at his home. Now we have boxing on the avenue, and we are hoping that we could present a show that will be so great that the management here will continue to run with us.
The Arapita Avenue venue is a popular liming spot, which allows the boxers to showcase their talents to a new audience. Kent Fuentes, TTT Sports.
More to come. Stay with us.
At TTT News, our journalists are on the ground seeking the facts and reporting on people, events, and the issues that affect your life. Our job is to deliver the most up-to-date news reports. We have Trinidad and Tobago covered. TTT News reaches further on any smart device. TTT News. Connect.
Women have seen the need to educate themselves, to hold senior roles in organization, and they are doing just that. We women can say we are proud of our accomplishment and what we achieved in terms of playing senior roles in organizations.
The weather is brought to you in part by the Water and Sewerage Authority. Water, use what you need.
We've seen some welcome showers for Tobago. That's good news, as we have the meteorological drought warning still in effect. Tobago did see just around 11 millimeters of rainfall in the last 24 hours. But for Trinidad, it's a completely different story. All we've had for the month of March so far is 6 millimeters. And you can see there that 32 millimeters is the usual average for March, but it's early days yet. But unfortunately, we have a dry spell outlook for the rest of this month, as well as carrying into April. So there's not much chance of us seeing any additional rainfall added to that to take us up to where we normally should be for this time of the year. Looking at the satellite picture, you can see a few clouds in there, but that's rather deceitful, because basically only occasional showers are coming out of those clouds, and as you get into Sunday as well, just some low-level clouds will be passing through. So for Tobago, you'll continue to see a few damp spots just after midnight, first thing in your morning. During the day, there will be some sunny spells around, and then during the early part of the afternoon, you could also see a few clouds, maybe generating a few showers as well. But overall, you will notice the fair skies continuing for much of your Saturday in Tobago. Similarly, for Trinidad, those eastern areas have been seeing those early showers coming through. That will continue through your morning. So if you're around Toko, into Arima, and into Piarco, you will see those early morning showers, some dampness on the roads first thing. During the mid-morning, mostly sunny skies. Then you'll notice a few showers coming through in the early afternoon as well. But again, no significant rainfall is expected for north or South Trinidad. Just those brief showers in between the sunshine. So what does this mean for the temperatures? Well, overnight there's a bit of cloudiness around, so we've seen temperatures holding up at 23 degrees Celsius for both Trinidad and Tobago, possibly a high of 31 in Arima, 32 likely in Port of Spain, but 30 degrees Celsius for Tobago. And that will be the trend through Sunday and Monday as well, with some cloudiness around. And then on a Tuesday, you'll notice there's a lot more sunshine to come, especially for Trinidad, as we see a ridge of high pressure and some dry, stable air take charge. Now, if we're looking to head to the beaches, we have been seeing breezy conditions as of late over the last few days, and the breeze will likely begin to pick up once more through Saturday and Sunday. 20 knots likely, fresh easterly winds bringing a moderate chop, 2 meters offshore, easterly swells remaining short at 8 seconds, and we only have one low tide, and that's just around midday at 11:45 a.m. Now, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean remains mostly settled and fine up towards the Greater Antilles. We've lost the frontal system there. You can just see that line of cloudiness. And it will weaken further as we go towards Saturday, pushing into the Atlantic. But that will just allow the winds to pick up with the high pressure building in the central areas. Only a few passing clouds are expected along the hillsides of Hispaniola. So mostly cloudy and a passing shower for Santo Domingo, 31 degrees Celsius there. Mostly sunny for Kingston as well as Port-au-Prince, and the sunshine will continue across many areas of the Eastern Caribbean. For Antigua, much of St. Kitts, just a passing shower first thing in the morning. Down towards St. Lucia and Barbados, they will enjoy lots more sunshine. Down towards Grenada, occasional clouds are still likely. There's some moisture traveling in on those winds, and maybe a few bouts of clouds as well for Guyana, especially around Georgetown. But for us, partly cloudy skies, some daytime showers, and a warm 31 degrees Celsius. So that's your weather, and that's it from me.
The weather was brought to you in part by the Water and Sewage Authority. Water, use what you need.
A Carnival Champs concert featuring the winners of the various junior competitions in the Carnival season takes place next week. It's the newest initiative of the Education Ministry, meant to engender a further appreciation for youth excelling in visual and performing arts. Janine Brown brings us the details.
When it's nice, you do it twice. The champions of the various junior competitions for Carnival 2019, Calypso, Steel Pan, Soca, Chutney Soca and the traditional mass categories will have an opportunity to deliver an encore of their winning performances on Tuesday, March 12th. The Junior Carnival Champs in Concert event, a first for the Education Ministry, is meant to honor the young performers on a job superbly done.
Culture is really a way of life, the way we do things. And we have a responsibility as the Ministry of Education to ensure that our culture is kept alive.
But the impressive stage performances Minister Garcia said are only the end result of year-long preparation. This, as he added, the Education Ministry has taken conscious steps to advance visual and performing arts within the school curriculum. Curriculum Officer at the Ministry, Josephine Terrell Brown, said that they've been using the arts to improve the entire learning experience for students.
Teaching fractions and mathematics can be done using visual arts. It can be done using dance, using the body as a tool to express themselves and to gather the meaning and so on. And that is called the Arts in Education approach. And this is an approach that has been recognized worldwide, internationally.
And with a more aggressive focus on the arts, the minister shared his view when asked if this would be reflected in the awarding of scholarships.
We have a scholarship committee that is at present meeting to look at reorganizing scholarships at the national level so that we will not only concentrate on the strictly academic pursuits, but also arts and other areas of national development that are sorely needed.
The Junior Champs in Concert takes place at the Big Yard of the Queen's Park Savannah and will begin at 9 a.m. Janine Brown, TTT News.
Here are the details of the day's market activity on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange.
Trading on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange produced a volume of 328,435 shares with a traded value of $5,140,999.67. Trinidad and Tobago NGL Limited was the volume leader with 112,608 stock units changing hands. Investors bought and sold the stocks of 17 companies with 8 increasing. 3 declining, and 6 ending the day unchanged. The composite, the cross-listed, and the all TTT indices advanced.
More to come. Stay with us.
There's no time like now and no show like ours. Start your day with a smile and view TTT every morning at 6 a.m. as Lisa, Rishi, and Carrie keep you in the know with what's trending on social media, the island vibe, and bring you the latest from the worlds of sport, technology, current affairs, and much more. Who says informative can be fun? Now, shaping tomorrow today, weekdays at 6 a.m. on TTT, Talk City 91.1 FM, and streaming live on Facebook at TTT Live Online. Reach further when you advertise with TTT. Suite 100, Next 99.1, and Talk City 91.1 FM. Whether it's television, radio, or social media, our stations belong to the only broadcast network with 100% coverage across Trinidad and Tobago. That's a fact. From Port of Spain to Point Fortin, Crown Point to Charlottesville, every household in TNT can easily access our signal. TTT remains the only broadcaster with live capability from multiple locations in the country, making us the most dependable source of information for events of national importance. Find us on any smart device at TTT Live Online. Are you ready to reach further with your advertising? Contact our sales team now. Call us at 622-4141 at extensions 2601 to 2607 or email us at sales@ttt.co.tt.
President of the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival Bands Association, Jared Weeks, says the concept of not using glass bottles during the carnival period is not new. On Thursday, at a post-cabinet media briefing, government announced a ban on glass bottles for Carnival 2020 and beyond. But Mr. Weeks hopes preparation to put the ban in place and make it effective would be properly done.
So while it's something that we support, it's something that has to be properly thought through and collaborated properly to ensure that, most of the vendors are not disenfranchised. Even the bands themselves, in ordering their product, this has to be done way in advance to ensure that glass bottles are not available, but all of the products are available in either cans or plastic bottles. That's something that's been spoken about year after year, but has not been addressed because the time in which it is looked into is way too late.
In response to the Carnival Tuesday activities ending at 9 p.m. next year instead of midnight, Mr. Weeks said safety should be the priority.
Most bands normally end their Carnival Tuesday by 9, 10 o'clock. I am not aware of any band that goes till midnight. I'm also aware that some bands cross the stage after 7 o'clock. And what needs to be looked at is that to ensure that bands are not asked to disperse when they are miles away from their camp or their endpoint. In my opinion, safety in numbers.
That's a wrap on this evening's TTT News. On behalf of all of us here, I'm Verna Bharath. Have a good night.